We continue our build-up to the budget 2012 with the FM out there. Will he give us a tough budget to set the house in order, or could it be a populist one?
Top leaders of India Inc. have been giving us their wish list almost every day, and joining us tonight is a special guest, Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Bharti Enterprises, Mittal, with his expectations from the budget. Mittal, thanks for joining us live on Business Tonight. Everyone's going to be watching out for the government's roadmap on fiscal consolidation. As an industry leader, what is it that you expect from the Finance Minister on this front?
No, I think it's important. This issue has been earlier also addressed by the Finance Minister. He has his, I would say, certain limitations, but we can clearly see that government will be hard-pressed to work on that, especially keeping in mind this investment has not really taken shape. I hope that brings in revenues this time. Of course, there are areas of food security, the Narega bills which they have to spend. Keeping that in mind, it's important that especially on this particular thing on fiscal, they must keep an eye on it, and I'm sure that that's what the Finance Minister is going to do.
You know, that said, but you talk about food security and so on. Now, retail is one sector where somehow the supply side could be managed, a sector that you and Bharti have a great interest in. What is your expectation? Could the FM start talking about an FDI story out there, the crucial reform that got stalled?
Well, I think Finance Minister even last year had spoken about the cold chains and the entire value chain to be created. As you're well aware, this has been now put in abeyance, so I hope some kind of mention and then the progress is taking place.
Mittal, the other sector that Bharti is hugely invested in and is obviously Telecom, a sector that hasn't got much out of the budget over the last few years if you were to look at it closely. What are you watching out for this year?
I think, let me just say a couple of things in Telecom. We believe this is the most taxed industry that India has today in the services side, and is the most low-cost service. So there are many levies in taxation on Telecom which needs to be rationalized. That's one request that the industry has been saying budget after budget.
You've been saying it budget after budget and very little has happened. Okay, let's talk about something that's likely to happen, and that's an increase in excise rates on consumer products. How do you see that affecting demand?
Well, I think already we are seeing the pressure of inflation. We are also seeing manufacturing bases are low. So we hope at this stage the excise is not really, increased, because that has to be passed on to the consumer. Probably this is not the stage to be done on the excise matters.
Rajan, on this budget rapid fire, let's talk to you about GST. Do you see it coming?
Well, this is the most important reform the industry has been saying for the last 2 years. This will change the contours and the shape how business is done in India. I hope that there is a roadmap fixed. It's not only the Finance Minister. I think the political parties across the spectrum need to sit on this, because this is a national reform. This is not a reform of a particular political party or a budget. So we are hoping that some kind of understanding must be reached.
Service tax, do you expect the rate to go up or increase the number of services under the net?
No, I think there are areas which are left out. I don't think so. The percentages need to go up. In fact, they need to be rationalized, but the ambit needs to be increased. More services, if need be, need to be brought in. But this whole, as I call it, the tax structuring must be looked in entirety. And we hope that that will take place.
Can't not talk about divestment, especially on a day like today when we've seen the ONGC share sale meet with a pretty lukewarm response. FY12 divestment has been a disaster. What about FY13? Do you think the government will set an ambitious target?
Well, we are hoping so, that this year should be the year where the disinvestment should take shape, because much of monies are needed for the programs that have been put. And if we have to actually move into the next step, which is really when we talk about education, skill development, healthcare, governments of the day will need that kind of resources.
The budget, as it always does, focuses a bit, Rajan, on the social sector. What do you expect? A big increase in investment and expenditure there?
Well, so it seems. Last budget saw a huge increase. If you are looking at the food security this time around, there will be an increase. But we are hoping that the disinvestments should take place to offset that expenditure that the government is bound to spend on these schemes.